Tonight, karma isn't whispering. It's showing up in full glam, stepping out of a stretch limo, and delivering a public smackdown that no amount of spin can soften. We're not talking subtle eye rolls or vague rumors. We're talking full-blown, unapologetic, receipts in hand, ego-crushing reality unfolding live on the internet. And at the center of this story, none other than Papoose, a man whose image has long been tied to loyalty, devotion, and a ride-or-die persona thanks to his high-profile partnership with Remy Ma. But when he traded that image and that woman for what appeared to be the ultimate power move, the dazzling Olympic gold medalist and undefeated boxing champion Claressa Shields, the universe apparently decided it was time to collect on karma in the most public, unavoidable way. On paper, Papoose's move looked like a strategic upgrade. He was leaving a woman who had stood by him through thick and thin, who defended him when the media didn't, and who had been the cornerstone of his public image. Remy Ma had been unwavering, loyal, and the kind of partner many only dream of having in life or in the spotlight. And for what? A headline-making relationship with a superstar athlete, someone with a sparkle, clout, and the kind of brand that could catapult him into a new stratosphere. But what seemed like a calculated win turned out to be a ticking time bomb, wrapped in glitter and applause, ready to explode. The twist that sent shockwaves across the internet and had social media holding its breath was that Claressa Shields was not, in fact, single. She was already engaged, and with the precision of a championship boxer, she publicly ended things with Papoose, effectively knocking him out in round one before he even realized he was in the ring. While the world processed the betrayal, Remy Ma did what she does best. She let karma do the talking. But this wasn't a polite, subtle, oh that's funny kind of laugh. No, this was a deep, uncontainable, I told you so kind of laugh. The kind of laugh that cuts through the noise, resonates online, and becomes a defining moment in a saga that could have only been written by the universe itself. And the internet noticed, of course. Comments exploded with phrases like Queen Energy and she's laughing in karma, proving that when it comes to poetic justice, timing and delivery are everything. Now, let's rewind to understand how it got this messy. Papoose's headline-making decision to leave Remy Ma was public, bold, and headline-grabbing. Remy Ma, the woman who had been by his side for years, defending his name, building his brand, and weathering life's storms with him, was suddenly the ex he left for a sparkling new chapter. And that chapter, starring Claressa Shields, promised all the allure of fame, athletic prestige, and social media gold. Initially, the relationship played out like a perfectly curated Instagram feed. Courtside NBA shots, matching outfits, synchronized smiles for the cameras. Everything looked seamless, polished, and enviable. But behind the filtered photos and staged social appearances, the cracks had already started to form. Claressa Shields' engagement was not some distant memory. It was ongoing, active, and far from a break, as some insiders suggest Papoose convinced himself it was. Her fiancé remained present, attending events and making his presence known subtly, never appearing in photos, but always just behind the curtain, a ghostly reminder of the truth. The romance unfolded like a story designed for social media, complete with strategic public appearances and subtle gestures calculated to impress both fans and gossip columns. Yet, even as Papoose basked in what he thought was an upgrade, the universe was quietly assembling the evidence that would prove otherwise. Social media users began to notice the first red flags. Claressa appearing solo at high-profile events, blurry fan photos capturing her with her fiancé in locations Papoose was nowhere near. At first, these images were brushed off as coincidences, but as whispers turned into concrete evidence, a pattern emerged. And then came the public breakup. Claressa Shields didn't offer a slow fade, cryptic captions, or an indirect diss on social media. Instead, she delivered a clean, sharp, and public announcement. It was over. There was no preparation, no escape, no narrative control for Papoose. It was as if the universe had pressed the fast-forward button on karma, and the public was here for every second. The fallout on social media was immediate. Memes, reaction videos, and TikToks spread like wildfire, documenting every perceived misstep, every awkward smile, and every hint of the scandal. And in the middle of it all, one name consistently trended alongside Papoose and Claressa: Remy Ma. She didn't need to release a statement or a diss track. Her approach was elegant, understated, and devastatingly effective. A short Instagram story of her laughing said more than any press release ever could. It wasn't just a laugh, it was a victory lap. Remy had stood by Papoose when the spotlight was dim, had defended him when narratives weren't in his favor, and had helped cement his image in the public eye. And he had walked away from all of that for a side chapter that, in reality, was designed without him as the lead. The public's fascination only deepened as details continued to emerge. Alleged text messages, blurry photos, and insider reports suggested that Papoose knew of Claressa's engagement but convinced himself the situation was complicated. According to whispers, he told friends things like, "They're on a break," believing he could navigate the blurred lines of the relationship. Meanwhile, Claressa's fiancé maintained a presence behind the scenes, effectively ensuring that Papoose never fully understood his role. He was the side character in a story where he thought he was the protagonist. Screenshots and alleged voice notes suggested Claressa viewed the relationship as both a diversion and a PR strategy, calling Papoose fun and good for publicity, while assuring her fiancé that the narrative would die down once it served its purpose. As the narrative unraveled, Papoose's attempts at damage control were too little, too late. PR teams scrambled to plant soft stories, trying to frame the breakup as mutual and respectful, but the digital age had already ensured that nothing would be forgotten. Fans ran with every leak, analyzing every detail, cross-referencing appearances, and speculating about motives. Meanwhile, Remy Ma subtly created her own response online, liking posts about loyalty, sharing cryptic quotes about relationships, and reposting movie clips about betrayal and consequences. Her approach was simple yet devastating. She didn't have to speak. Her actions and timing delivered a narrative no one could contradict. Then came the leaks that would solidify Papoose's public humiliation. Blurry videos, private audio clips, and candid photos emerged showing Claressa and her fiancé interacting normally during weekends that Papoose assumed were exclusively shared with her. One particularly damning clip allegedly captured Claressa saying, "I handled Papoose." "Buzz will die down soon," a phrase cold and calculating enough to suggest she had full control of the narrative while he was completely unaware of the real dynamics at play. The footage, whether entirely authentic or cleverly edited, was treated by the internet as gospel, further cementing the idea that Papoose had been played from the start. Even as Papoose attempted to regain control, offering interviews and framing himself as the misunderstood party, the public and media were uninterested. Meme culture thrived on his misfortune. Remy Ma's laugh, once a small Instagram story, became the soundtrack for countless viral TikToks, layered over unrelated clips just to reinforce the narrative of poetic justice. Fans gleefully shared images of Claressa and her fiancé, now clearly together, while simultaneously laughing at the juxtaposition of Papoose's public embarrassment. It was a perfect storm of karma, social media virality, and celebrity miscalculation, with every move Papoose made only reinforcing the story that had already been written without him. However, sources close to the situation revealed that the confrontation between Papoose and Remy Ma was intense and emotionally charged. Papoose allegedly felt blindsided by her reaction, interpreting her mockery as a lack of loyalty or empathy in a moment when he needed support the most. The discussion reportedly touched on issues of pride, trust, and long-standing relational dynamics that had been simmering under the surface for years. Papoose's frustration was understandable. To be mocked for a personal heartbreak, especially in the public eye, adds layers of humiliation that few people are prepared to handle. On the other hand, Remy Ma's response was said to be a mix of amusement and blunt honesty, highlighting that Papoose's choices had contributed to the situation and that sometimes life's lessons are delivered through unexpected and sometimes uncomfortable ways. What makes this incident so compelling is how quickly it became public fodder. Even though the argument itself was reportedly private, rumors and snippets of interactions made their way onto social media almost immediately. Fans and observers dissected every word, every gesture, and every post, creating a digital echo chamber that amplified the drama. Some argued that Remy Ma's behavior was justified, emphasizing that she was merely holding Papoose accountable and that her reactions were measured responses to the situation. Others, however, sided with Papoose, saying that no one should be mocked when already experiencing the sting of heartbreak. The debate quickly split into camps, with hashtags trending and comment sections exploding with passionate opinions. Memes circulated depicting Papoose as humiliated, while Remy Ma's expressions and remarks were analyzed frame by frame, fueling a public spectacle that neither party had explicitly invited, but that both were inevitably drawn into. Adding to the intrigue, the narrative revealed deeper themes about celebrity relationships, public perception, and personal accountability. Papoose has long been portrayed as a devoted and loyal partner, often seen supporting Remy Ma in her career and public life. However, in this particular scenario, the dynamics were flipped. He became the one under scrutiny, the one who experienced public rejection, and, in a sense, the one whose personal life was dissected by the world. Meanwhile, Remy Ma, known for her strength and unapologetic authenticity, was perceived as both a voice of reason and, depending on perspective, a catalyst for public humiliation. The argument underscored a harsh reality that celebrity relationships often face. Personal matters, when intertwined with public visibility, rarely remain private, and the emotional fallout is amplified exponentially by fans, media, and social platforms. The reported argument itself, according to insiders, was not just about the breakup, but also about deeper issues in the relationship. Voices were raised, tempers flared, and emotions ran high. Papoose was allegedly hurt, feeling that the mockery compounded his emotional pain, while Remy Ma, maintaining a composed exterior, seemed to deliberately use humor and blunt honesty to make a point. Observers suggest that part of the tension stemmed from long-term dynamics, issues of trust, communication, and the ways they each process emotional setbacks. Some fans pointed out that Remy Ma's reaction may have been harsh but strategic, a calculated move to test Papoose's resilience and response under pressure. Others criticized it as unsympathetic and cold, emphasizing that when someone is already dealing with heartbreak, empathy should take precedence over teasing. Social media, of course, had a field day. Within hours of the rumored argument, platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok were flooded with reaction videos, memes, and commentary dissecting every aspect of the spat. Some users created timelines of Papoose and Remy Ma's interactions, trying to map out the emotional trajectory of the argument. Others speculated about what this could mean for their long-term relationship, wondering whether loyalty and love could survive public tension of this magnitude. Memes showed exaggerated reactions, humorous captions, and playful jabs, while comment sections became battlegrounds between those defending Papoose and those supporting Remy Ma. It became clear that the story had transcended the private moment and had evolved into a public spectacle, emblematic of the broader challenges faced by celebrity couples. Beyond the spectacle, the argument also highlighted the intersection of ego, pride, and vulnerability. Papoose, in particular, was forced to confront the fact that his personal choices, made in private, now had very public consequences. The mockery, or what some called the mockery, from Remy Ma acted as a mirror, reflecting both his actions and the emotional fallout in a way that could not be ignored. For Remy Ma, the incident reinforced her public persona as someone unafraid to speak her mind, even in high-stakes personal situations. Their interaction became a lens through which fans could explore broader human themes: how we handle rejection, how we process humiliation, and how relationships evolve under pressure.